For 5 years, the primary metric for the EV industry was consumer adoption. The only question that mattered was whether Indian drivers would actually make the switch from combustion engines. The streets confirm the answer is yes. In major hubs and smaller cities alike, electric auto rickshaws and two-wheelers are flooding the market, outperforming their traditional counterparts in sales growth. This success has immediately triggered a more complex problem. Selling 1 million EVs is a retail achievement. Supporting them is a logistical one. By winning the battle for the consumer, India has invited an infrastructure crisis. The current power and support networks were never designed for this volume of demand. We can see the reaction to this pressure in Bihar's newly approved EV Policy 2026. The state has set a hard target. Electric vehicles must account for 30% of all new vehicle sales by 2030. Policies like this use emissions targets to anchor bids for massive infrastructure expansion. Bihar is positioning itself to capture the charging networks required to keep these fleets operational. This marks a shift in state competition. 5 years ago, regions fought for the tax revenue of vehicle assembly lines. Today, they are fighting to become integrated EV ecosystems. These states are now specifically hunting for charging network operators and local battery manufacturers to ensure their regions can actually support the cars they are legislating into existence. Bihar's aggressive stance is a response to a looming national reality. Across India, the transition from sales to support is meeting a massive supply bottleneck. According to IESA, India's current trajectory requires 20 gigawatt-hours of battery capacity by 2025. But by 2032, that demand is projected to reach 200 gigawatt-hours. In 7 years, the volume of batteries needed grows 10 times over. A 10x multiplier requires moving 10 times the physical weight of materials currently processed by the system. Every part of the logistics chain has to expand by an order of magnitude simultaneously. Meeting this quota requires the rapid construction of chemical processing plants, cell manufacturing facilities, and industrial-scale recycling centers. This 7-year window turns a story of successful growth into a supply chain deadline. If the batteries don't arrive, the adoption numbers become irrelevant. Assembling a car frame is a standard industrial task. Manufacturing high-tech battery cells is a different tier of difficulty, requiring automated environments that are chemically precise and extremely capital-intensive. The raw materials are the primary constraint. Global supply chains for elements like lithium are concentrated in a few specific geographies, making it difficult for new manufacturers to secure a steady flow of inputs. If local production cannot scale to meet the 10x demand, India will face a shortage of the batteries needed to power the vehicles consumers have already bought. For the average driver, this means higher purchase prices and long delays for replacements, potentially stalling the national transition to electric mobility. The viability of the industry now depends on these infrastructure projects. Consumer sentiment is no longer the bottleneck. The supply of battery cells is. Bihar's policy push and the IESA demand forecast are two sides of the same problem. State-level incentives are the direct reaction to this looming supply gap. The winners in this new phase are the companies and states that control the underlying infrastructure, the charging networks, and the battery manufacturing hubs. The next decade of competition happens within these manufacturing centers. Success is measured by gigawatt-hours produced rather than cars sold in a showroom. Constructing a secondary industrial base of this scale requires a total reorganization of national manufacturing and logistics. India has legislated the future at once. Now, the physical reality of its supply chains has to determine if that future can actually arrive. If you want direct, fact-based insights into the EV industry every day, make sure to like this video and subscribe to EVs 24/7. We want to hear from you in the comments. Can India's battery supply keep up with its 10x growth targets?